The cold morning air was pierced only by the distant, relentless thud of artillery shells. Smoke twisted in ominous columns above the shattered skyline of a once vibrant town. In the midst of crumbled buildings and burning rubble, a woman clutched a small child tightly to her chest, her eyes wide with terror and exhaustion. The Al-Karim family was trapped in a nightmare, their home transformed into a battlefield, their survival hanging by a thread. How did they escape the jaws of destruction? What truth lurked behind their desperate flight? This is the story they tried to hide. It begins here, in the heart of chaos, with the pounding of boots, the crackle of gunfire, and the unbearable silence between explosions. The ground beneath them was soaked with cold mud, the air thick with the acrid stench of diesel and burnt wood. It was the winter of 1999, in the war-torn outskirts of a city ravaged by relentless conflict. The Al-Karim family, modest and once peaceful, had called this neighborhood home for generations. Narrow streets lined with familiar faces, children's laughter before the sirens, the smell of freshly baked bread carried on the wind. But that all vanished the moment the first shells fell, turning streets into death traps, houses into tombs. The city's pulse slowed to a haunting silence, broken only by distant gunshots and the desperate cries of those caught in the crossfire. The inciting moment came without warning, an early morning bombardment that shattered the fragile calm. A violent explosion rocked the Al-Karim's apartment building, glass shattered like rain, and the walls trembled under the weight of destruction. The family's patriarch, Hassan, grabbed his wife and children as chaos erupted all around them. Their sanctuary was no longer safe, it had become a coffin. With no time to gather possessions, they fled into the unknown, navigating the twisting alleyways filled with debris, avoiding patrols and sniper fire. Each step was a gamble between life and death. As they moved, fear gnawed at their resolve. The family's youngest daughter, Amira, whimpered in pain, her small hand clutching worn identification papers that could mean the difference between life and summary suspicion. Hunger gnawed at their bellies, cold bit through ragged clothes, and every shadow seemed a threat. They faced not just bullets, but betrayal from supposed safe havens. Refugee shelters overflowed, whispers of traitors walking among the displaced spread paranoia. Each night, surrounded by strangers, the Al-Karims held tight together, their bonds a fragile shield against despair. Their path to safety was littered with hurdles unspoken in official records. Roads blocked by armored vehicles, checkpoints manned by either hostile forces or cynical opportunists demanding bribes or worse. On one bitter night, as they crossed a desolate field under the thin crescent moon, a newborn cry pierced the silence, another refugee born amidst ruin, reminding all of life's stubborn defiance. The Al-Karims pressed on, driven by a primal will to survive and protect. The breaking point came during a frantic dash through a contested zone. Shells exploded nearby, dust and debris clouding vision, screams torn apart by gunfire. Hassan, carrying the youngest children, was forced to leave behind a crumpled photograph, his mother's face smiling amid happier times snatched in the chaos. In these harrowing moments, seconds stretched like hours. Decisions were brutal: risk the open street or the collapsing ruins. Hustle through mine-laden terrain or wait trapped in the cold. Their courage was tested beyond endurance. But amid this trauma, a hidden truth surfaced, details erased by the fog of war, omitted from history books. The Al-Karim's escape was shadowed by a brutal betrayal. As investigations later revealed, a supposed humanitarian convoy they trusted was infiltrated by armed factions exploiting refugees, using their desperation to smuggle weapons and intelligence. Those meant to protect them instead endangered them. The family narrowly avoided capture and forced conscription due to a tip-off from a sympathetic aid worker, whose identity remains concealed. This grim reality exposes war's cruel paradox. When survival depends on trust, trust can become the deadliest gamble. Their arrival at a refugee camp promised safety but brought new battles, battles of neglect, discrimination, and haunting memories. The Al-Karims lost not only their home but their future as familiar faces faded into obscurity, their story buried beneath statistics. Yet, in the shattered fragments of their journey lies a testament to human endurance, a plea to confront the hidden costs of war beyond the battlefield. This is not just their story. It echoes in the lives of countless displaced souls, reminders of a brutal truth often left untold. Today, as we sift through declassified documents, witness survivor interviews, and sift through the debris of forgotten records, th.